Call this meeting of the Harriman City Council, July 20th, 2021. The order, before we get started, we'll have a prayer by Councilman Wright, followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Councilman Wright.
Join me, please. Heavenly Father, we again want to thank you for the privilege to be able to meet and act on behalf of the citizens in our city. Lord, we ask that you will empower us with perseverance that we need you to give and to work to improve our city. Bless us with wisdom and support to you. Keep pressing on. No matter what obstacles and challenges you face, we thank you for your strength and guidance as we move forward. And Father, we pray a special blessing on the citizens facing critical illnesses and other burdens that they may be facing in their pain. In Christ's name we pray. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Ryan Cross.
Here.
Buddy Holly.
Here.
Steve Johnson.
Here.
Kenny Me.
Here.
Sam Russell.
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
Here.
Like to declare a quorum. Motion to approve the minutes of July the 6th, 2021 meeting. I make a motion. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson. Yes, sir. Councilman Wright. No. Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Ryan Cross.
Yes.
Buddy Holly. Steve Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Frost, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Frost.
Motion.
Councilman Wright.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Ryan Cross.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, we're for delegation. If you'd like to address this council, please come to the podium, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Being no one, we're going to reports. Fire department.
Mayor Hanson, you got my monthly stats. The only other thing I'd like to report on, is the training property. We started back down there today, started cleaning up. If there's anything down there too, like, as far as cleaning up the property lines or anything that you want to point out to, just swing up out there and, look at it and let me know while we're down there doing that, we can work on that also. I was going to clean the property line, just the last thing I've already done down there. I'll be going back and looking at other properties down there, while I'm cleaning this stuff up and leveling it, planning on it. So, you know, if I have any questions,
Anybody have anything for fire chief? Thanks, sir. Police department.
Everyone should have gotten a monthly report from June. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions for the police chief? Thanks, sir.
Oh, I would like to say, I'm sorry, last month in June, we had the summer camp for the middle school and elementary school kids. And it really worked out great. We had a good time, and I think the kids enjoyed it for the 2 weeks. But I want to thank the mayor, Mr. Mason came down a few times, and the mayor came down with the kids a time or two. And I appreciate the council and everybody's support for those camps. And she had a lot in 2 weeks, but I appreciate everybody's help, and the kids enjoyed it and said they was looking forward to next year. thank you all for that.
Thank you. And it was a good time, heard only good compliments about the camp, so it's a huge success for our residents here in Harriman. Third.
We had our test run for the new software, and our database is like administrative. So they didn't have any further matching new software with our databases. So that's a good thing, and it's something usually we don't have that could happen. So that's a plus for us. That's it.
Anybody have anything for the city treasurer? Thanks, sir. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. We Friday finished up phase 1 of the Riverfront project. There's probably not more phases. We finished up the Riverfront restoration project. So if you've not had a chance to get down there, take a look at that. It ended on a good note. Park's already being used. We've got plans made to go ahead once the budget is approved to repay that down there. The mayor's told you about that. We also had a meeting down there, and Councilman Johnson was with us, looking at the new dock that we put in place, kayak and canoe launches, and future plans for that. So we closed that out and looking forward. Dixie Youth had their state tournament last weekend. Talked to the national president for that. He was very happy with things went. Started a little slow on Thursday, but everything, once it got rolling, went really well. As I walked around and talked to people from various cities that were there, they didn't know who I was, but they spoke real highly of the way the city had rolled out the welcome mat, and it went really well. And thanks to councilmen down there, I saw Councilman Frost, Councilman Johnson, of course Mayor Best was there the whole time. He even showed up Saturday morning, came down there and worked in the concession stand next to the mayor's wife, and it was all hands in effort. I think Harriman came out and had a really good show, so really proud of our Parks and Rec department, everybody who showed up to make that a success for everybody. Police department, you've kept up with Dundee, what's on the news, also in the March paper. They've been working for several months on the big drug bust, and were able to follow through with that this past week up around Triangle Park. And a lot of people were involved to make that happen, but a big positive impact for the community to get those people off the streets. So really happy with the work the police department did, making that become talking about the drug bust, Chief. You can speak about it when you're up here, so a lot of good work there. I also met this past week with a representative from the Department of Transportation and Sheriff Stockton. We're going to move forward to look and clean up that area around the interstate. We talked about cutting some of those trees and making it more visible, so making plans to do that. I know you haven't mentioned that. We haven't gotten to the part yet, but budget, hopefully we have our first reading tonight. Hats off to Dr. Curley for working with department heads and everybody making hopefully the first reading tonight. I think it's a budget one that you all can be proud of, that will make our citizens happy and move forward with some of the projects y'all are looking forward to. And I'm sure there's something else, but just again, thank you for the opportunity to serve as city manager. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody have any questions for city manager? Just a little bit on the state tournament, it was great. We appreciate all the efforts down there. Harriman showed out on us, so it was really good. People that says that Councilman Russell don't know how to cook, we've got evidence that he does know how to cook. So he was stuck behind the grill down there for a lot of the tournaments, so just a big help from everybody. So it was really good. We're looking forward to the next one. I think that our rec director put in a bid today. I told him he was interested in a bid for next year. So just the start of hopefully many state tournaments to that. So thank you, city manager, for all you're doing. We'll go into new business. First time discussing possible approved surplus old computers from the old city hall. We should have that in your packet. The list of computers. You want to talk about that quickly?
that list of computers that's in your packet, that's from the old city hall. In order to do things efficiently and report right, if we should ever have somebody to check out what happened to old computers, we had Jess and his crew to go in and remove all the hard drives, destroy those, and that's a list of computers approved by the city council. We'll then be able to recycle the metal parts and take that down to recycling center. That's all that is. It helps clean that basement out and get it ready for a possible sale or whatever council decides to choose in that area.
Motion by Councilman Russell to approve the surplus. My second. Second, Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell. Councilman Johnson. Floor is open for discussion. Call it, please.
Brian Cross.
Yes.
Buddy Holly. Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Steve Lee.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes. Motion approved. Next item, discuss and possibly approve library appointment. I had put the name on there, that I would like to recommend to council. Barry Tidwell, Barry's been on the board for the last term. He's done a great job in coming on there, something about the library. I like to speak on that call Barry. He usually don't know the answer, so I like it. He always is there to help. And the good thing about Barry being on the board, anything he's done on there, whether it's a light change or a motor fix or something, he takes care of it, so it kind of keeps it off of us. So Barry serves a lot of different council, so I think Barry would be a great appointment. I'm making a motion. Second. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson. Yes. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
He's good.
Floor is open for discussion. Call it, please.
Brian Cross.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Steve Lee.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, discuss and possibly approve on first reading ordinance 0721-01. An ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the city of Harriman, Tennessee adopting an annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Doc, you want to read that?
Probably should be read one time anyway. I hope you can hear my voice okay. This is ordinance 072101, adopting the annual budget tax rate. Whereas Tennessee Code of Law, annotated Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 116 requires that all funds of said Tennessee and all its political subdivisions shall first be appropriated before expended, and that only funds that are available shall be appropriated. Whereas the municipal budget law of 1982 requires the governing body of each municipality to adopt and operate under an annual budget ordinance, presenting a financial plan with at least the information required by the state statute, that no municipality may expend any money, regardless of the source, except in accordance with the budget ordinance, and the governing body shall not make any appropriations in excess of estimated available funds. Whereas the governing body has published the annual operating budget, in this case was published, and budgetary comparison of the proposed budget for the prior year actual and current year estimate in newspaper general circulation, not less than 10 days prior to the meeting where the governing body will consider final passage of the budget. Now therefore be ordered by the city of Harriman, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, that the governing body estimates anticipated revenues of the municipality from all sources to be as follows. The general fund, total available funds will be $20,940,089 with the details shown below. The debt service fund, total available funds will be $385,687. Drug fund, total proposed funds available will be $42,876. Solid waste management fund, total available funds will be $423,312. Safe Street Aid fund, total equipment funds, 391, 634. Capital project fund, and I'll speak to this in a minute, by the way. Total available funds of $650,000. Section 2, the governing body appropriates from these anticipated revenue and unexpended and unencumbered funds as follows. General fund would have total appropriations $18,788,859. Debt service fund, we have appropriation $359,728. Drug fund appropriation will be $42,876. Solid waste management fund $364,961. State Street Aid fund total appropriation $391,634. Capital project fund total appropriation $650,000. At the end of the fiscal year FY21 and FY22 actually, the governing body estimates ending balances as follows. General fund $1,532,760.31. Debt service fund $25,959. Solid waste fund $58,351.26. So total all fund balances in all funds will be $1,617,007.60. Should be a zero right there. With that correction, I'll correct it on the next one. That the governing body recognizes that the municipality has payments and notes and leases for government activities as follows. Debt redemption, notes of $294,600. Capital leases, $16,980. Interest requirements of $65,127.56. And capital leases, $2,967. We do have authorized debt that's unissued debt of $1.2 million. Section 5, no appropriations lifted above may be exceeded with an amendment, may be exceeded without an amendment of the budget ordinance as required by the municipal budget law of 1982. Section 6-56-208. In addition, no appropriation may be made in excess of the available funds except to provide for actual emergency, threatening health, property, or lives of the inhabitants of the municipality, and declared by a 2/3 vote of at least a quorum of the governing body in accord with Section 6-56-205 Tennessee Code Annotated. Section 6, money may be transferred from one appropriation to another in the same fund only by appropriate ordinance of the governing body, subject to such limitations and procedures as it may describe as allowed in Section 6-56-209 Tennessee Code. Any resulting transfers shall be reported to the governing body at its next regular meeting and entered into the minutes. A detailed line item budget financial plan shall be prepared in support of the ordinance. The detailed budget shall be used as guidance generally followed in implementing this ordinance. For any reason a budget ordinance is not adopted prior to the beginning of the next fiscal year, the appropriations in this budget ordinance shall become the appropriation for the next fiscal year until the adoption of the new budget ordinance in accordance with Section 6-56-210 Tennessee Code. Provides sufficient revenues are being collected to support the continuing appropriation. There is hereby levied a property tax of 1.008 for $100 of assessed value on all real and personal property for the purpose of funding municipal services. Until adequate funds have been allocated to meet FY22 debt payments, the property shall be general fund 18162, debt service fund 12718, for a total of $1.088. Section 10, there is hereby provided for donations to the Henry Stafford East Tennessee Agricultural Exposition Center located at Homestead Community College. This periodic contribution shall be calculated at a rate of 28.57% of actual hotel motel occupancy tax receipts and be limited in application not to exceed $50,000 total donation for FY22. All unencumbered balances or of appropriation remaining at the end of the fiscal year shall lapse and revert to the respective fund balance. Section 12, wage and salary adjustments shall take effect retroactively to July 1, 2021, but not prior to second reading and final passage of this ordinance. Section 13, the ordinance shall take effect July 1, 2021, public welfare requiring. Pass the first reading this 20th day of July 2021 with Wayne Best Mayor as signature, Christopher as the testing.
Motion to approve. I'll make a motion. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Frost. Councilman Johnson. No, sir. Councilman Frost. No, sir. Floor is open for discussion.
Let me return to the capital project fund. We have some projects there that you want to do next year. And because we do not have a good estimate of how much those costs will have, I decided to move some of our money over to the capital project fund instead of logging it in as borrowed money. Now, once we get to the point of making these investments in capital projects, we will have a better estimate of what they will cost, and we can decide at that time whether to borrow money or spend it out of the capital project fund. That makes sense. So that's why you see so much in the capital project fund.
Any other discussion?
Do we ever break down somewhere the special project that we use for proposed 22?
You want to go over those?
I'm okay, maybe it's frustrating.
Yeah, the budget for the most part, not a whole lot changed from our workshop and our last council meeting, with the addition of what Dr. Curley mentioned, moving the money over to the capital outlay fund and just a couple of salary adjustments I just shared with Councilman Need. But thank y'all for your feedback after we sent that after the workshop. Those adjustments to our capital outlay came from the suggestions of the council for our projects.
And on one of the capital outlays, I think, was looking at lighting down 27, down around the restaurant center lane. We talked about that for years on years here, and I explained it last meeting, and just want to talk about it for just a second. We're looking at, if we go ahead and do that, we put, I think, 25 lights down through there and use the LED with the black poles, we're somewhere around $180,000. We have a grant that goes in effect in 2024 that is going to light that interstate, the on and off ramps. Included in that was doing some of this, but as we talked about before, if we stay on the grant process, it's 2024 before it's going to happen, and it's going to cost us 2 to 3 times more to do it at that point than it would be if we just do it. So I've asked our city manager to get with TDOT and make sure that we're still capable of going ahead and doing it ourselves, and not, that grant is a $1.4 million grant, and when we looked at it, about $500,000 of that was just to light that up that we could do for $180,000. And as we all know, when you start doing on TDOT, you go into all kind of things that they have to do where we can get our utility company to do it. We don't have to do near that stuff. So that may happen and it may not. So just know that I think that we set the money aside to do it. If they tell us we can't get out of that grant, we have to stick with it and run those lights in that grant, we may be stuck to 2024. I don't think so, but I just wanted you guys to know that that's not a done deal. And I'm not backing out PDOT either, because they do a lot for us, but grants are sometimes hard. Any other discussions? And as Councilman Media stated, this is just first reading. We can do some adjustments between now and the second one. I have looked this budget over 2 or 3 times. I think it's a great budget. I think it meets a lot of needs that we've looked at. And we say this every year, and every year we keep saying the same thing. It's not going to be this way every year. We are not raising taxes any. I was kind of hoping that Doc would go to 1.09, and get it out 1.088, and we may do that for second reading. It's not going to affect anybody, it gets us out of that 0.088.
It's all right, round it off.
Yeah, I'd like to just round it off to 0.9, but, as Mayor Mason said before me, and I'll say now, and as Mayor Davis said before him, we haven't raised taxes in Harriman in a long, long time. If we want to continue down the path that we're going and building our city back up and putting money back in it, eventually we're going to have to look at other directions on raising money. Now, in saying that, and you may have said it, my mind is floating a lot of places right now, but there's some big news coming in the way of development in Harriman. We've got some great things fixing to happen, fixing to open up, so that will increase our tax base, but I don't know how much. So, any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Andy Mead.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, discuss and possibly approve ETDD contract, that's East Tennessee Development District. I'll tell you what that is so you can kind of understand before I ask for a motion. We used to use East Tennessee Development District to do our planning for us. We got away from that about probably 3 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and we started letting Mr. Humphreys do it for us. He had some training in it. And what we did was took the money was paying East Tennessee Development, and we put it under his salary for him to do that. That was a way of getting his salary up and us keep it in-house. Since then, we've just been struggling, to be honest with you. The front office is having to deal with blueprints and everything that comes in, and Teresa and them have been handling it great, but we can't keep doing it. We're not qualified or certified to do those things. So I've asked Teresa to touch base with East Tennessee Development, ask them if they're interested in coming back. And they are. They sent us a contract that should be the thing. It's basically about the same price it was when they left. It's a little over $10,000 a year. They come to our planning commission meetings and they basically make sure that the plans that come in are the way they're supposed to be. So that's what that is on there. That takes it back from us. The planning commission is still our people and stuff, but I think David will be the one doing it, which was here before. But until we can figure out another direction, I think for at least the next year, we need to let them take care of this and get it off for us to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do. So motion to approve East Tennessee Development District contract. Motion by Councilman Johnson.
I'll say.
Second by Councilman Frost. Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Councilman Frost.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call roll, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Andy Mead.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries, that's all on the agenda. I would like to ask council to allow us to waive the agenda rule. I was supposed to put on the agenda about the bicycle pedestrian master plan. It has to be approved right now for us to move forward. This thing ends this month. If we don't do it, then we're stuck. I'll let our city manager discuss it a little bit. He's been setting the meetings with Keita, and they can tell you more about it. But I'm gonna let him discuss the stuff there before I ask for a motion, so you guys understand what it is. First off, I've got the approval to waive the agenda rule. Motion by Councilman Russell. Second by Councilman Wright. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. And I can't let the mayor take all the blame for this. I should have reminded him to put it on the agenda, so it wasn't just his fault. What you have before you, Keita sent this out, I think, via email a couple of weeks ago. I also sent you a text, I think last Friday, about this. We became aware of it, Keita, you helped me out, probably my first week here, and it sort of dropped in our laps. What this is, it's a bike and pedestrian plan that was put in motion in January of this year. This group came in, and they were tasked with looking at what we had as far as improving, reducing speed down Road Street, various various roads, maybe a way to connect our parks. They knew about possibly expanding along the river, so they came in and did a plan, which is what you have before you on what that looks like. And it's a good plan. What we found out is this group came in, they did have 2 stakeholder meetings that involved citizens in Harriman. Both of those meetings took place online, probably due to COVID. I think probably had a lot to do with this. I don't think I'm saying anything. I'm not sure how many councilmen knew about this for whatever reason. But as Keita and I looked into it, we found out we had this in by July 31st. It wasn't a big deal. Then we found out that TDOT has to have 10 days to look at it and approve it. So what we're asking you all to do tonight is look at that, approve it so we can get it to TDOT. That's all that's required. And what it enables us to do as a council and as a city, we now have this viable plan. And if we move forward with this comprehensive plan, for the city, and we discussed that a couple of meetings ago. The mayor talked about not throwing so many darts out and having a true plan that would direct our spending. This fits under that umbrella perfectly. It's a good plan. There's some good parts to it. There may be parts that we look at, maybe this year or next year, we want to go after a grant. As Keita and I talked, here's the kickback. We have to get it approved and get it sent in, or we could be liable for $63,000, which is cost putting this plan together. But if we get it in and meet it by the deadline, then we are good. We have a plan. And then what we decide as a council, and as the mayor and the city to move forward, we have that for us. But that will fit under the comprehensive plan. One thing that Keita and I would like to do to keep you all, because Doc and I have had several discussions about what money is coming in, how the grants are working right now. It's not due to anybody's fault. I think it's just a transition administration. But Keita and I are going to come up with a Google document that will track every single grant that we have in place. We'll share it with you all. If you don't feel familiar with the Google document, I'll be glad to sit down with you or Keita and we'll show you. But you will have access at whenever time, wherever you go, to look and see what grants are outstanding, what we're working on now, what we're going after, hopefully how much money's coming in. And I think it'd be a better line of communication for you all as council, and certainly for us that work here in the city building. For example, 2 grants that we are looking at possibly going is a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant. Councilman Wright informed us about this past week. It's really good about Parks and Rec. And then Senator Yeager, in discussion with Mr. Knobloch, the state has released a one-time funding of a 65-35 grant that would work perfect for our temperance building, which we've already set aside some money for in our capital outlay. So those would be 2 examples. If I tell you about it and I tell you the next city council would choose that, that would include on that document, then you all will be able to track in real time what we're going after, what we're looking for, and hopefully there'll be no surprise. But it is important that we look at that and we approve this, and Keita gets it in the mail before midnight tonight. Not that soon, but tomorrow. But that's what this is. It's a good plan, good parts of it. We can certainly use any part that we so choose, but that's all that is.
Are we obligated funding or anything by passing it?
No, sir. Matter of fact, when Keith and I went to a webinar and we sat in our office, I said, all right, so let's make sure by approving this, we're not gonna have this group come in here. No, the only cost that would be to the city was if we did not meet the deadline and we did not get this in. We hear that the TDOT representative can come in and hold our feet to the fire and make us pay for the plan.
We're not committing ourselves to fall through this plan.
No, sir.
If we don't have to commit to following through with it, the purpose is just I mean, why wouldn't couldn't we go back later for like these improvements to Highway 27 and Grove Street and stuff? It's just, already got it out there and
Right, if we choose to, let's say, if we want to choose parts of this to connect parks by the pathway, we could go after a grant in which we already have the work done, this plan is already done, that's one less thing. Evan Sanders talked about this comprehensive plan, the overall price for the city, if we went with that, would be somewhere around the $75,000 mark. However, everything the city has done prior to this comprehensive plan will reduce that overall cost. So this would be an example of that. We went with the comprehensive plan, we really talked about focusing on parks and rec, that we can say, hey, we've already got this plan in place, that's one less thing they would have to do, which will reduce that overall cost.
does that mean where you have to go with what's in here?
Not necessarily, no, it's just one option.
Because I don't see shortening Grove Street to 3 lanes and making one a bike lane on this side. There's just a little bit out there.
Yeah, and there's several good options in there on Grove Street. There's some that eliminate parking on one side, parking on both sides, and I know what kind of feedback that would be. So that's just suggestions if we decide to go that route.
Does this incorporate everything we've already got in the plan for market? Because it's got traffic calming measures and all that?
Yes, it has a lot that's in there. A lot of what we discussed, probably we wouldn't go after necessarily. There's some items that could be removed to reduce the overall cost of that.
But the main thing, if we don't get it in, we're gonna get hit 60.
We could be liable for the cost of the plan.
Yeah.
And again, that's one thing Keith and I talked about. We want to make sure anytime we go after something in the future that everybody in this room is aware of, so to avoid this happening again.
And just something on that pattern, the county got a grant similar to what would be affected on this for a recreational plan. We tried to get the city to join in, all the other cities joined in except for Harriman. I don't know why we didn't join in, but we joined in on a comprehensive plan for rec. Well, now, we can't apply for grants for recreational until we get our own plan. Well, that was $100-something thousand to do that plan for each city, and Harriman opted out. I don't know if anybody in the duty opted out, I don't know if we knew or didn't know, but we didn't go through with
Is
this.
that the one where they're wanting to do the riverfront thing?
No, this was a recreational, one that they went to each city and said, okay, what are you looking at recreational, what's your plan? And they drew up a plan for each city, and as I looked at Kingston, Rockwood, and the county, all did theirs. Harriman chose not to. Now, we're talking with Evan right now to try to do a recreational plan, because the OPRF grant that we got last time for the splash pad, we could apply for phase 2 for something else that we wanted to do, but we can't because we do a plan, so we're trying to figure out how we do a recreational plan. And that's kind of like what this is. This ain't all recreational, but it's the same thing. If you don't do it, it limits you when you go to apply for grants. If you don't have that plan, they don't see your master plan. They don't see what you've got, and you don't have it.
I mean, it's not all bad, but since I've been on the grants, I've not been in the very same choice. Because they take too long to do, and you end up paying, where if you're 25% match, you're still going to be in at probably 50% at the end of the day because of the
Because it takes, well, just like the TDOT grant down Interstate, we got it in 2017, and then go out and bid in 2024, with what's happening with prices. And we got a certain amount, so when it goes to 2024, we're gonna pay double what we're going to because prices have changed. So,
Our trailhead is a perfect example. We paid more than, we could have paid that much money and done it all when we wanted to do it.
we're gonna keep talking, we're gonna get Doc fired up and start running trailhead and all that. But you're exactly right, and I think that we've talked about phasing some grants out, but there is some good grants like maybe the Tempest Building grant, some of those that can really benefit the city, so, I think this is a good plan. Motion to approve. Motion by Councilman Russell, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Frost. Councilman Russell. Councilman Frost. Floor is open for discussion. Call it, please.
Brian Frost.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Me.
Yes.
Larry Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. So on the agenda, we'll go into council remarks. Before we get there, is anything else need to come before this council? Okay, we're going to council remarks, Councilman Russell.
Scott, can you make sure that all of us get a copy of that you give the opinion there?
Councilman Wright. Councilman Frost.
No, sir.
Councilman Hall. Councilman Lee.
No.
I've got a couple things. We have an opening on the 911 board as a city representative. I have talked to Mr. Woody about it. It is his recommendation to the county commission. It was not ours, it was his. What he asked for was a recommendation from the mayor of the city to give to him. I haven't done that yet because I'm going to tell you guys, it's not something that we vote on, I just want you guys to know. I'm going to recommend Chief Pat, unless when you all have a reason why I shouldn't, you do let me know, and we'll go in another direction. But Chief Daniels has been on there, and his time's coming up, and Chief Pat will be a recommendation to go on that board. The other thing, we are getting, I told Scott this today, he hasn't come up from there yet, and I said, well, it's not going to be no time soon because we're fixing to get into the busy season of the city. He thought the budget was a busy season, but we've got a bunch of stuff fixing to come on. We've got a lot of events, the Hooray for Harriman, we'll be getting, and then we've got October, which has got a lot of things in October, and then we've got Christmas. But just be aware, we started updating Facebook yesterday and some social media websites about the Labor Day Festival that we've got coming up. And if you guys have any ideas, we'll be forming a committee as we do each year to start working on these things. So we'll start that this week, but we have started to get with the vendors, set one up, and you know, I'd like to see us do something we haven't ever done before. I just don't know what that is. So if you all have any ideas, let's move forward on that. But I think the Labor Day Festival will be good, it will be big, but just ideas is, you know, something that we put on and we put together. I know we're having a beauty pageant, and I'm going to call it a beauty pageant, a pageant. And we're going to call it beauty anymore because I don't know. But anyway, a pageant, I'm in it, so can't call beauty this year. I'm just kidding, but I can't do it. But we've got that, we've got some superheroes and stuff going to come, and we'll have a new kids out this year. We haven't had that last a couple times, so we're going to open that back up. So just be looking and turn the truth, we're already scheduling a day. I want to ask the council to think about something. I asked Scott today to get a hold of, or he asked me about getting a hold of the other cities. Halloween this year is on a Sunday, and we want to move it to a Saturday. I think that we probably should move it to a Saturday and get it off for the Sunday, but that would be the council's, that would be up to you guys. We've got the other cities that we're doing, so next week we'll vote on whether we move it to Saturday or leave it on Sunday. So that's all I got. Appreciate all you do. Appreciate Doc and Scott on working on the budget. I know it's been a task this year, and I appreciate all y'all doing. Look forward to the new year and moving forward. Motion to adjourn. Motion. All in favor, aye? Any opposed, right sign?